Fuck this.
Fuck.
Did you see this? Look at this.
Oh, the ink of the child.
The Uglies. Made easy to understand. As a male in his late 20s, I have no business reading this book. But I do know a Netflix show is coming out, and I will probably be forced to watch it. So I wanted to get my feet wet before I dived into that shit show. This book is like a more feminine, less entertaining Diary of the Wimpy Kid. But at least that book rocks. This comes to me as a shock that a man in his late 30s wrote this book, because it seems to tug on the heartstrings of a 13-year-old girl who spent her recesses alone. I'm not hating, that's just the impression I got. I won't sugarcoat it either. I hated reading every word in this book, so if you're a fan of the series, don't hate me for acknowledging any bullshit. But if you just want to know the premise, well, I read this book so you don't have to. It's about a dystopian future, where everyone is born hideous, and after they reach the age of 16, they become beautiful with the help of medications and surgeries. The title for this book is pretty funny, but some alternative titles could be Every Quiet Girl in Middle School, or You and Your Mother. The book opens up with cat vomit, which is a good representative of how the rest of the story goes. But jokes aside, the first sentence is, "The early summer sky was the color of cat vomit." What a way to jump in, I guess. Tally Youngblood is the first ugly character we meet in this story. She lives in a town called, get this, Uglyville. It's located in between Loser Village and Your Mom's house.
Boom. Roasted.
Her friends recently got surgery to be pretty and packed up and moved to Pretty Town, which is located between Winners Avenue and my house. She misses her friend and decides to take her ugly ass to visit them in their new town. She walks into a mansion where all the new pretty people gather for a formal event. She sticks out like a sore thumb because she was dressed too casually, and also, she was ugly. People start pressing her for being so ugly, and she dips into an elevator where she meets her douchebag friend named Paris. Paris and Tally both gave each other scars when they were younger, so she's ugly and weird, not a good combo. But during the surgery, Paris was able to remove the scar, and Tally was dumbfounded by it. Then she commits a felony by sounding the fire alarm, and Mission Impossibles herself into a bush. While hanging out in the bush, she meets another ugly girl named Shay, who hopped over the mansion for the same reason Tally does. The two girls make a ladder across a bridge for escape, but Shay just pulls out a fucking hoverboard and floats across. The two girls become BFFs after finding out they have the same birthday. No way, that's how I make all my friends. And they make a commitment to remain friends even after the surgery. They discuss why the pretties do not want to be friends with them, only to come to the realization that no one wants to be friends with an ugly person. Ain't that the truth? Tally is excited about the surgery to be pretty, while Shay is kind of pissed about it. They play a game that takes a person's face and duplicates one side and creates a mirror image of it to create a symmetrical face. Play tag or something. Tally starts the game and quickly becomes depressed at how ugly her right side of her face is. She tells Shay how much fun this game is and it's her turn. Shay is growing irritable at this point, asking for Tally to accept who she is, which is one ugly bastard. Tally has been self-conscious about proving she's as adventurous as Shay thinks she is, but Shay persuades her to enter a restricted part of the map. They get warning signs to turn back where they came from, but Tally nervously follows Shay to prove she's a boss-ass bitch. They start hoverboarding in the woods, because back in 2003, hoverboards were sick. After talking and hoverboarding between the two, we find out that being pretty is actually even better than it sounds. They drink and party 24/7, so this pretty society can live carefree. This utopia was invented to level the playing field and provide a baseline to everyone to follow so there would be no special treatments. Sign me up, that sounds great. But Shay does not find that fun, and rather go hang out in the woods. Take Shay off the list of people I would invite to my birthday party. Tally is terrified of the hoverboard and makes it clear in her face with pure horror. She's not used to the darkness of the woods or the cold water that splashes on her, but for some odd fucking reason, she enjoys it. I bet that could get old quick. They come across a roller coaster with broken tracks, and Shay, being a horrible friend, does not tell Tally because nobody ever told her. Tally asks where she learned of this abandoned roller coaster, and Shay replies back with a boy named David. Shay, wanting Tally to third wheel, invites David to come and chill and sends off a flare. David does not show up right away, and the girls start walking back home. Tally turns around for a quick second to see David's flare shoot off, but she said fuck it and headed home. Back in town, the girls begin to discuss their lives, and Tally mentions how ugly Shay is. Shay was like, "Bitch, you look in the mirror?" No, just kidding. Shay corrects her, saying she isn't ugly but has been taught that she is. This pisses off Tally, and Tally tells Shay to grow up and get pretty. Yes, Tally, slay. Tally is excited about the surgery so her insecurities will go away, and she will finally grow up. Shay disagrees, and leaves angrily. Few days pass, and Tally is bored out of her mind. She misses her friend Shay and recounts the adventures they went on. Just then, Shay pops up in the window like a creep, and tells her to move in with her and her boyfriend David in this town called Smoke. Tally does not find that enjoyable at all, and tells her that she cannot live in the woods like an animal. I agree with Tally. Shay is ugly and weird. Shay leaves a coded letter telling her where to find her in case she changes her mind. Now it's the day of the operation, and Tally is pumped. She can be a pretty girl. She packs all her shit and gets ready for the surgery. Just then, a man walks in and tells her there's a problem with the operation, and she must meet with the secret pretty police. She meets with a woman named Dr. Cable, who tells her she's in charge of investigating runaway children like Shay, who want to stay ugly. Dr. Cable gives Tally an ultimatum. Either tell her where Shay ran off to, or stay ugly forever. At this point in the story, you're probably wondering why a middle-aged doctor gives a fuck about an ugly kid becoming pretty. Because it was giving off major Ghislaine Maxwell vibes. But again, the story is geared towards ugly preteens, so I just gotta keep that in mind and the story makes sense. Tally once again compares the sky to cat vomit. I wonder if the surgery can make her imagination become pretty too, because Christ, it's disgusting. She's held up in a dorm not getting the surgery, and word spreads quick around Prettyville. Many people, including that douchebag Paris, hears rumors around what's taking the procedure so long. He decides to visit Tally and tells her to hurry up and get pretty so they can be popular together. The more popular you are, the more social status you gain. And baby, Paris is trying to prestige. Tally is getting sick of the drama that's aligned with being popular. That's the price you pay to be pretty, baby! Tally decides to infiltrate David's camp because Dr. Cable blackmails and tortures her with photos of herself to remind her how she'll look ugly forever if she doesn't comply. Which sounds hilarious, but if someone showed me my old Facebook photos, I'd probably give in. Dr. Cable tells Tally that she was never sent, and she left by her own accord, which is really stupid of the doctor not to think Tally wouldn't just abort the mission and become MIA. Dr. Cable also gave her a gold locket because now they're friends, I guess. Shay wrote a really cryptid map, and I gotta give Tally props, because I would've gave up on the first riddle and went home. Upon a bunch of random bullshit, she had to face her fears and jump into the unknown, which provides the feeling of bravery. Tally reaches the next clue in Shay's instructions, which instructs her to take the side she hates when coming across a fork in a river. Tally must interpret what Shay means by taking the side she despises. She recalls that she told Shay she hated the right side of her face, which she thought was uglier than the left side. Honey, you ugly on both sides. She realizes Shay must mean she must take the right side of the fork in the river. By choosing the right fork, Tally's also choosing her flaws and accepting her ugliness, metaphorically. God damn it, I really hate this book. She wakes up to find herself in a childlike Vietnam, with brush burning and a helicopter spraying flames down. The helicopter lands and she sees humans emerge with bug-like faces running towards her. Ooh, it got spooky. The people in the bug masks end up being pretties. Damn it, back to this bullshit again. The pretties burned the woods down to stop an invading flower species that was once rare, but humans altered the landscape. For some reason. I don't fucking get it either. I know it's supposed to be a metaphor about human changes to the environment, but it's fucking stupid if you ask me. The pretties have a silent agreement with the Smokies to help runaways, and they know she's won. Tally almost blows her cover by saying she isn't excited to go to the smoke. One job and she almost fucked it up. The smokers find Tally on this mountain, and she reunites with her friend Shay before meeting the boss. When Tally meets the boss, she's exposed to her first old ugly, which is a traumatic experience for her. After seeing this hideous hag, Tally told herself she made the right move by betraying her friend Shay. Reading this part actually made me laugh out loud. In chapters 26 to 30, Tally adjusts to her new life as a smoker. Girl, I started that habit in the 5th grade. She starts collecting scrap metal like a true ugly person she is, but instead of flipping it for easy cash to score some crystal, she's doing it to create paths to help benefit her new society. David tells Tally to take a break and to wear some gloves. He tells her that he digs her scars and thinks they're hot. This upsets Shay. Ooh, drama. The hours spent doing manual labor and working outdoors becomes enjoyable to her. Yeah, okay, spend 12-hour shifts 6 days a week like a typical blue collar, and then ask me how much she enjoys it. David takes Tally aside to talk to her alone. He tells her she's the only runaway who's ever came alone, and he finds that hot. Weird thing to look for in someone, but go off. David trusts Tally because she left everything behind to be with Shay. As he praises her, she notices his looks begin to change. He looks attractive despite his scars, crooked teeth, and high forehead. If David could get laid, then it looks like there's still a chance for the rest of us. Tally begins touching her locket, which draws David's attention. Tally's about to confess, but David interrupts her, saying he realizes she probably has a sweetheart back home. He says it's okay, but that he still wants her to meet his parents anyways. David's simping. Tally meets David's parents, who are both plastic surgeons. Oh, I get it. David's got money. His parents were on the board committee to decide what pretty is, but they left the job when it decided the favor was an appearance over brains. Tally, who is blinded by love, aborts the mission and threw the locket into a fire, ultimately destroying it. Cheap gold, I guess. Another Vietnam battle begins again, when the pretty police invade using a hybrid helicopter hover car. That is so fucking stupid. Tally noticed these pretties have superhuman strength and reflexes. She escapes to the forest where she finds the boss hiding. He's carrying a bag full of magazines and some pepper dust. What is this guy, my uncle? Pulling her mags and dust off? Tally's brought into a holding cell where the other detainees are. The pretties announce her as an armed resistor and her hands are cuffed. Croy, what kind of fucking name is that, is also captured and tells Tally he was suspicious when she didn't show up to breakfast, but he trusts her now. Shay also arrives in the cell, bloodied and bruised. What? Shay points at Tally saying this is her fault. Croy defends Tally, which angers Shay even more. Shay tells Tally that not only did she steal her boyfriend, but destroyed the smoke. Ooh, she stole her boyfriend. The pretties began scanning everyone's eyes. When they reach Tally, they tell her that Dr. Cable is waiting for her and cut her handcuffs. Now, Shay is even more convinced Tally betrayed them. Tally's confused about how the pretties found them. Dr. Cable asks Tally where the locket is and tells her that it gets activated when it's destroyed. Now Tally knows she called them accidentally. Snitches get stitches, girl. Tally says she hid the locket in a trading post, so Dr. Cable sends Tally to retrieve it. Instead of retrieving the locket, Tally decides to fly low on a hoverboard and head to a railroad cave where David had taken her to escape heat detection. She leaves her board flying to make it seem like she fell off, but really dipped inside the cave. She has no board, no shoes, no water purifier, and no food. Oh, grow up, Tally. There's people in Africa without hoverboards. Just as she's about to collapse in despair, she hears a voice. It's David. Aw, you think they're gonna kiss? Tally and David embrace. David says they had taken his hoverboard out early to watch the sunrise when he saw the pretties coming, and instead of alerting anyone, he ran to the cave to hide. Tally is also becoming a huge red flag by constantly lying to cover her tracks. David, believing Tally is simply amazing, falls in love with her even more. These hoes ain't loyal. Next morning, David and Tally head back into camp. Seeing the devastation the pretty police caused, she starts feeling guilty. They find the boss in the woods near his bag of magazines, fucking jorking it and huffing gas probably. But upon a closer investigation, they realize the old fart had died. A hurricane strands David and Tally for a few days. While they're waiting for the storm to pass, they talk to each other about the upbringing and early lives. This prompts a fight between the two, and like a typical middle school relationship, they break up with each other, but only for a few hours. Kind of like when you broke up with your girlfriend during recess, only until math class, you guys are sitting next to each other again. Anyways, they finally arrive in the city, and Tally, now acting as the worst tour guide ever, leads them to the pretty police building. The building is protected by a fence rigged with sensor wires, so Tally comes up with a plan. They'll bungee jump onto the roof from their hoverboards. What? I feel like Joe Rogan would really like this book. Tally also receives help from a bunch of ugly kids who think living in the woods is the coolest shit ever. For their cooperation, Tally will let them know where the next smoke encampment will be. David's jazzed because he realizes the smoke will forever carry on with new recruitments. Tally plans for them to distract the pretties by singling the words, "The smoke lives," in the sky made of sparklers and fireworks. The engaging pretties race towards the little ugly shits. Now that the pretty police building is free of guards, David and Tally head over. They jump over the sensor fence with their hoverboard and free fall onto the roof of the building with their bungee jackets. What? Tally overshoots the building and catches a rain gutter and holds onto it like she's in a movie directed by Zack Snyder. David helps her over the edge. Amazed, people in Uglyville bungee jump for fun. Tally, liking the attention, admits bungee jumping is just an old trick the Uglies use to pass time. What? They do some next level bullshit that no 16-year-old can possibly do. They define gravity and jump on a hover car. A whole lot of bullshit action that makes no sense. You just need to know they entered the building. They head towards the basement where David assumes Dr. Cable hides her prisoners. Just as they enter the corridor of the basement, they run into Dr. Cable. Tally distracts her by calling out her name, saying she wants to turn herself in, while David knocks her out with a power jack from behind. Hell yeah! Suddenly, Tally hears another female voice, coming from not far behind. It's a pretty girl. Tally realizes, with horror, it's Shay. Tally is surprised that Shay seems happy to see her. Shay says she was forced into the operation by Dr. Cable, but is relieved about it. Now that she's hot, I feel kind of bad for making fun of her earlier. Shay is drunk because she just came back from a party. Hell yeah, Shay. Tally tears up, realizing how she betrayed her friend. Shay sees Dr. Cable's body on the ground and makes fun of Tally and David for always finding trouble. She says she'll help them because, while she may be pretty, she still likes to have fun. Hell yeah, Shay. Then Shay takes Tally aside and says she'll keep Tally's ugly secret. Tally realizes Shay knows about Dr. Cable's plan. While she and Tally talk, David uses the power jack to free the other Smokies from their prison. Tally and Shay ride one hoverboard, giving them a chance to talk. Shay tells Tally that she doesn't resent her anymore for betraying the smoke and stealing David from her. She says that she's growing up. I hated Shay in the beginning of this story, now she's my favorite. The next morning, Tally wakes up cuddled to Shay's body, which is fuller since the operation. Boing! Shay whines that she's done camping and would like to go home. Tally muses on the fact that it never crosses Shay's mind that she could return by herself. David finds his mother back in camp without his dad, but nobody gives a shit. Later, they all meet up with David and his mom, Maddie. While David and Tally embrace, Maddie reveals that she has stolen some of Dr. Cable's data and believes she can find a cure for the damage done by a pretty surgery. No! I just started like a character in this book, now they're gonna make her lame again. Tally realizes that Shay may go back to hating her again when she returns to her old ugly self. Maddie also slips to Tally that she knows her dirty little secret. Good luck dating David now. After 20 days, Maddie merges with a cure. She invites Shay to take the pill, but Shay refuses. Maddie explains she took an oath as a doctor and can't give the pill to anyone without their consent. I hope this is the only lesson that people learn from this book. Maddie reveals that Dr. Cable had killed David's father. Why she's telling everyone now? I'm not sure. It's been over 20 days. Shitty mom if you ask me. Tally offers to go back to the city, turn herself in, and get the operation so she could become a test subject for Maddie's cure. David resists, refusing to let Tally destroy herself. Tally, realizing Maddie knows the truth, confesses to David that she was a spy for Dr. Cable. She says that she came to the smoke as a spy, but ended up changing her mind and inadvertently setting off the locket when she threw it in the fire. David runs out, upset. If you think your breakup was bad, try being the reason your crush's father died. Tally tries to follow him, but Maddie stops her. There's a cold look in her eyes. Tally realizes she blames her for David's dad's death. Maddie tells her to go now before she or David changes their mind. Not for nothing. If she killed my lover, I wouldn't want her to be pretty. I would probably tell her to fix the targets, Chris Kyle style. Tally agrees to go, but vows that David will pick her up after the operation, if he forgives her. Come on, David, she killed your dad. That's a huge red flag. Tally writes a letter to herself so she knows she gave consent to take the pills before the operation. Since she was never taught handwriting, she has Shay write the note. So she's ugly and stupid? They never mentioned that earlier. Shay is relieved that Tally's having the operation and heading back to town. Shay says she feels responsible for Tally still being ugly, and that is why she stayed back with her at the ruins. Now that's a good friend. Shay is excited for them to become pretties and to rule the social scene back home. Tally wonders if thinking about her feelings for David will prevent the operation from taking a hold of her brain. As they reach the city, a warden stops them, confused that an ugly and a pretty are traveling together. Tally identifies herself and requests to be made pretty. Want to know how this book ends? Like that. The author leaves you with a cliffhanger. A typical lazy style of writing to advertise this dude's about to squeeze another $25 out of some preteen girl. I get the theme of the book is beauty's on the inside or some bullshit like that, but the only message I got was don't listen to your doctors when they say you have a problem. And don't help yourself in any way, just embrace your flaws, which is not a good lesson to be taught. I have many flaws that definitely need to be worked on, and if I embrace those instead, I'd probably be in jail, or canceled, or on a no-fly list. I think this book sucks, and I think the Netflix show is going to be even worse. I guarantee they will have a beautiful woman like Bobby Millie Brown and Miley Cyrus to play the ugly parts, while inclusive PC Netflix will make the pretty people be Leslie Jones or Amy Schumer. I hope I provided you enough information to make your friends think you read this book when you discussed the show together. I could lie and say I would have enjoyed this book as a kid, but I can say for certain I wouldn't. I cannot believe this dude spent his entire late 30s and 40s writing this series. If he can make it, well, then we all can. I read this book, so you don't have to. Thank you.